CP.
Are you serious? He's gone! 40, 30, Portis all the way! Touchdown Redskins, 64 yards!
26 minutes.
He's pretty sharp. You know, he'll coach you up on the Miami guys and everything else. He's kind of fun to be around. Got an opinion, too.
You know, I've been blessed to have the opportunity to go out and be myself and say the things that I say. And, you know, for the outside world, they can deal with it how they deal with it.
26 minutes with Clinton Portis. CP. Teach him something.
Welcome to 26 Minutes, episode 34. Jake Prince Rifles, Monica McNutt, full crew in the house.
Why are you giving me all of that on my last name?
Hey, listen, your last name dope.
I have the greatest last name.
Full crew in the house. Stevie is back from Coachella, looking all hippie-ish, like she just had a blast. And maybe we need to get Stevie on the show to ask her about some of these performances. But right now, draft 2 days away. The Skins are on the clock at 15. And yesterday, Doug came out, had a press conference where Doug said, you know, they could possibly trade back. They're not really interested in trading up. And it's causing a lot of stir in this area. So when you hear of trading back, what do you – just the draft process, I think the Skins been real secretive this year. Like, normally you know who they're eyeing and who could possibly be the pick. But this year it's been, like, really quiet.
I think there's also just a lot more uncertainty about who's really good in this quarterback class. I think there's been so much talk about different guys falling back. You talk about Dwayne Haskins. Now he's not in the top 10 anymore. Now first he was, then there's so much narratives that just keep.
I think it's so much like torn around. It's like Kyler Murray is not going to be the first pick. If he's not the first pick, then he could fall all the way to this. Like, how could you, if you're either the first pick or you're the 10th pick, no one has that type of slide. Like, oh, one team has to love you in the first place, and no one's trying to trade up to get you.
Yeah, the thing of the part is, like, the Redskins have traded back in previous drafts a good amount. Like, that is, I mean, look at last year too. They got Darius Geis and they traded back and still got him. And, like, you know, they could have had him when they came to him at the second round, that first pick, and then they were like, no, let's go back to number 59 and wait another 13 picks, and they still got him. There's just a sense that I think Bruce had mentioned this a while back, that he would like 9 to 10 picks ultimately, or even more. The Redskins have 9 picks right now. I think they want to stockpile as much as they can. And look, that because they need depth. That the last 2 years, injuries have been.
You're stockpiling young talent, which is a good thing, but it would also mean rebuild, and that's a word that you've never heard around here. Rebuilding is not something that the Redskins do.
This whole thing has been super fascinating. This is the closest I've been to the draft and, like, watching it up close. But to your point, in terms of, like, rebuilding and moving around, I guess as I'm looking, we talked about this a couple weeks back on the pod, whether or not this was going to kind of a hot seat year for Jay. And we heard him talk about the urgency in terms of needing a piece that can come in and contribute to winning now. So in my mind, that's just going to eliminate certain positions. And we had that long conversation about quarterback, whether you like Haskins, Murray, or whoever else. If you need a guy that comes in and can be impactful, certain positions are going to lend to that more than others, I would think. And so that's what I'm thinking in terms of, like, who they might take with their first options.
So looking at that, like, your first option would be, and everyone gets an opportunity to get a pick. So you're on the clock at 15. Who do you take?
Well, I don't know who's been taken.
Pressure.
Well, just saying,
perfect.
You're on the clock.
Well,
you give me a name that's in that roundabout area that could be available.
I would take a quarterback. I don't know. Again, I think if somebody if either Dwayne Haskins or Drew Lock is available, I would take a quarterback. If they're not there, I think
you only get one pick, Jake. You only get one pick. We don't need hypotheticals. Give me one pick that you would like to see at 15.
All right. Well, I'll say Dwayne Haskins then, but I don't think he's going to drop to 15.
Okay, so I like the kid from FSU, Brian Burns. I think.
I think that would be a good pick. I think that would be more of an impactful pick for the Skins at 15 than a quarterback.
Well, for sure. I'm not arguing that.
So and that's philosophy. Now we're just getting into philosophy. Like if we play GMs.
So for me, playing GM, something we haven't had in quite some time would be a playmaker. Since you lost to Sean Jackson, you haven't had someone that could get over the top, that can expose the defense, that can catch a pass underneath and take it the distance. So I'm looking playmaker. And you get all these guys that had all the hype, and you look at A.J. Brown and you look at DK Metcalf and these guys who all of a sudden had buzz coming off of performances, workout performances. But you look at a guy that did it on the field constantly. Every time he had ball in hand that he made a play and made something happen. I'm looking at Hollywood Brown. Kyler Murray, top receiver, Oklahoma. This guy, he didn't get a chance to work out. He didn't go to the combine due to injury. But all of a sudden, he's back to the number one receiver. At 15, if you could get a guy like Hollywood Brown, that's a guy who can catch intermediate passes and take it the distance. That's a guy that's known to get to the end zone. That's something you haven't had. That's a playmaker that you've been missing for quite some time. I think he makes it easier for any quarterback, for anybody to all of a sudden. You got to look at the Skins offense, and it's constantly 8 to 10 to 12 play drives to try and score a touchdown. You need a guy who can flip the field. It's been too long since we had a guy who could get one catch and go the distance for 80 yards. Or make a big play, a 30-yard, 40-yard play, just to take you across the 50 and put you in scoring position instead of constantly having to grind it out, go 8 to 10 plays and kick a field goal. You need a playmaker, and I think Hollywood Brown would be the top playmaker in this draft right now.
So this would be my only concern there. One, are you concerned about his size at all?
You can't be, because Jamison Crowder was your go-to guy, and they were the same size. So
suffered injuries. I mean, not
the durability and the size.
Right.
Kind
well, you look at a lot of guys now. It's not like you get a lot of contact. Okay. Right. So you're not getting banged up anymore. You don't have safeties like Sean T that come down and blast you, or Ray Lewis standing in the middle of the field that gets the opportunity to blast little receivers. So therefore, a lot of guys are succeeding and they can sustain. So I actually think it's okay because he's so quick. You look at some of these receivers that's out right now. They're little small, fragile guys, but they can run.
So then I guess I wonder how you counter maybe the defensive attention, because if he becomes your primary playmaker, you've got the curve of being a rookie already in action, and then you've got the attention that he's going to garner. Like, how sustainable, I guess? Like, what would you expect?
Because now you look at Paul Richardson on the outside, you look at Brown inside as a slot. If we would begin to use our slot receiver, putting them in motion, not just leaving them as a sitting duck, moving this guy around, running, crossing routes. You look at a lot of teams. You look at the Saints. You look at the Patriots, teams that scheme against you. If you could put Hollywood Brown in the slot or get him matched up against a linebacker and bring him across the field, you got a home run or you have a big play. That's something we haven't had. Our receivers don't separate. So now you got two receivers with speed instead of having one guy on the outside and Paul Richardson.
What would you say to the argument that we had a good thing going defensively last year, continue to build on that, and continue to be a little bit more patient with the offense?
Well, I do think we have a good thing going defensively. You bring in Landon Collins. You have some of the additions were led by a young D-line. You got Reuben Foster has been cleared, so he's going to be available. Needing a linebacker. I think the defense could you can find defenders in the late rounds. You can find speed. You can find playmakers in the later rounds, second, third, fourth round. But you need to solidify that playmaker while you have an opportunity. So if your first pick is offensive, then you can focus on defense the rest of the draft. You got an opportunity to go get a rush in, to go get another linebacker with some speed, or someone who can come downhill. You can go get a corner in the later rounds because guys are going to drop. So I think you have time. You have an opportunity. So Jake, take it away.
Guys, helping people improve their lives is what should drive business. That's the belief at Koch Industries, which employs more than 65,000 people across America. The team at Koch works together to meet the world's changing needs in transportation, medical care, water filtration, household goods, energy-efficient building products, and everyday technologies, all while consuming fewer resources. See the innovations firsthand at kochindustries.com.
Welcome back to 26 Minutes. I know you all see we have a new guest in studio. This is per Monica's request that we needed to start getting players in. And our first player on the show is none other than the leader of the defense, a new face the franchise, Jonathan Allen. Welcome to 26
What's going on,
Minutes,
Clinton?
John.
How you doing? Thanks for having me, guys.
Hey, I'm good, man. Thanks for lending us your time. So we're on this draft discussion, and it's perfect timing because we were getting to the point, or the topic of how often draft gurus get it wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And you are a guy who were expected to go top 10. You slipped in the draft for whatever reason, but over the last 2 years, the production you've had with the Redskins and becoming the face of the franchise has been great that you slipped. So could you give us some insight of what guys are going to experience this Thursday?
It's for a lot of guys, it's going to be a rough day. I mean, and that's from the top to the bottom. I mean, it was a rough day for me, and I went 17. You know, so I mean, first of all, it's a long day. It's nerve-wracking. You know, if you're with the draft, if you go into the draft, you're doing so many events and you're just really trying to keep your cool. And that was probably the hardest thing for me when I really just wanted to be with my family and really just get away from it, as crazy as it sounds. I didn't even want to think about it. I just want to just relax, and wherever I went, cool. But it's going to be a day to remember.
Do you remember like what you did that whole morning into afternoon? Like how are you killing time?
Honestly, that whole weekend was just, I don't even remember. I remember just waking up. I don't even know. I think I got a haircut, maybe got some food.
So what caused you to slip in the draft?
Personally, I'm not sure. I mean, the way I look at it, it's a business. And if you're able to get a player cheaper, if you're able to get a player later in the draft because of this or that, then teams are going to say whatever they can to say it. I mean, the thing for me was arthritic shoulders, which, in my opinion, doesn't really affect too much of what I do. But, I mean, I really don't know.
But did that come out, like, right before the draft? Because sometimes people know this, and all of a sudden, this information come out, like, 2 days before. Like, right now, you have the kid, Sweat.
With the heart,
Sweat is dropping because of a heart issue. Like, you've had all this time to discuss or look into it, and it's like, all of a sudden, teams are panicking. Like, oh, this guy got a heart issue. If it was that serious, like, why hasn't this been diagnosed?
It goes into the strategy of it. If you're sitting at a team at 20 and you really like a player, but you know he won't make it there, releasing information like this might scare other teams away. Now, I don't know if that's what they do. That's just my theory. I have no insider knowledge. I don't know. But it makes sense to me.
So you walked in on our last segment. You get drafted, fantastic. Whoever we draft, congratulations. You enter the next step of your career. Talk to me about that rookie curve, though. Because per CP's theory, like if we go after a playmaker, wide receiver, fantastic, you have a skill set. But the NFL game is different from the college game. What do you remember about the curve?
I feel like it just depends on where you come from. If you come from a smaller school, this curve is definitely going to be bigger. For me, going to Alabama, a lot of guys that I'm playing in the league, I played in college. And the work ethic you got to have at Alabama is harder than what you got to have in the NFL. You get way more time in the NFL. At Bama, you're waking up at 5:30 to be at the run for 6:30. Then at 7:30, really 7:45, you got an 8 o'clock class. So it's, see, do I want to be on time or do I want to be late and shower? Then after that, I come back. I got practice, got homework, I got tutoring, I got tests, I got all this, and you're not even getting paid, and you're broke. And I mean, college is tough. I mean, it's a great opportunity, but I mean, don't let people fool you. College is tough.
So when you look at this, no, go ahead.
So, gosh, Jonathan, I wish we had you for more time because I'm ready for all of these conversations.
Well, we got him as long as we need him. We got him. Let's go.
Before we get to the college being tough, because I would like to get your thoughts. Last week, I thought EJ gave us some really powerful thoughts on the student-athlete experience. But for you, coming from Alabama, we talked about the little bit of tie that we got going in the locker room here. The single thing that was most important to you to becoming a successful professional athlete was?
Doing the same things I did at Alabama, not losing myself. I mean, at Alabama, it was all about accountability, consistency, and Coach Saban's biggest thing is if I can't trust you off the field, I can't trust you on the field. So, I mean, obviously there's always exceptions to the rule, but if you're out there not doing what you got to do in class, and Coach Saban's going to take that into an account. And the way he would always say is if you're late for a meeting with a counselor or a teacher, or you're late to your training session, he counts that as being late to a practice.
So speaking of that, me and you had a lot of conversation where you swear you all had the best team. I know we had the best team. So we've had a lot of conversation about who would be the best. You get the opportunity to get some of your teammates. Of course, the Redskins have fallen in love with Crimson Tide players of recent. you bring in your teammates. You get Reuben Foster. You get Landon Collins. You got Payne. When you look beside you and you see the same guys that went through the struggle, like how confident is it knowing compared to not having these guys and having these guys? Like how does that confidence level change?
It changes a lot. I feel like the key to having a successful team is the intangibles. When you look at the New England Patriots, what makes them win? It's not talent. I mean, don't get me wrong. Tom Brady is super talented, but they never put the most talented team on the field. It's all the intangibles that go into doing what you got to do, doing everything right. They do everything right as a team, on and off the field, I would assume. I mean, you look at the way they play, they trust each other. You don't gain that trust overnight. And that's one of the things you get when I play with these guys. I know what they're about. And that's not saying I can't happen with anybody else, but, going back, I've been playing with Ryan Anderson for going on 6 years now, 7 years. So that it just speeds up the process of trust. I have that same trust with Payne that I do with Matt Ioannidis right now because I played with them for those years.
Right.
So when you get these guys and you all already have a bond, do other players like naturally gravitate to your bond? Because for me, I went to the Denver Broncos. The Denver Broncos was a team that had a lot of leadership. You get Shannon Sharpe, Rod Smith, Ed McCaffrey, Al Wilson, Brian Greasy. You had so many guys coming off a Super Bowl, a year removed from a Super Bowl. And for me to walk in, I just told somebody I was like 12th on the totem pole. No one cared what I did because you had all of this success in these guys who did it the right way. All of a sudden, I get traded to the Redskins. And the Broncos are a first-class organization from top to bottom. All of a sudden, I come to the Redskins, and you got a new owner. It was kind of a hierarchy, a money hierarchy. It wasn't really veteran lace. It was whoever made the most money was the guy. So all of a sudden, I come here. It's Lavernius Coles, it's LeVar Arrington, myself. You bring in Sean Springs, Cornelius Griffith, all at the same time. And I thought this was like the Wild Wild West my first year. Coach Gibbs is coming back. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, what's going on? Because it was totally different from the team environment. Like, in Denver, everyone did everything together. Everyone was together all the time. If it was a cookout at Greasy House, over half the team was there. If it was a cookout at TD House, everyone supported. Whereas here, you might have three teammates, myself, Smoot, and Springs, all stay on the same street, along with Gilbert Arenas, and we all got a pool party the same day. So the entire street blocked up and players are separate. You know what I mean? So when you get that camaraderie, like how does it like go off to other guys?
I feel like to answer your question, the culture we want to build here is you're an outcast if you don't do it right. You know what I mean? We want that to be the culture because then naturally very few people want to be that lone wolf. Everybody wants to fit in somewhere. And if we can build a culture where doing it right is the culture, then that's how you get more and more guys doing it. For instance, D-line, we try to lead by example. So me, like this all seems I try to focus on making sure the D-line is good. And then we try to, every group is doing the same thing. Then the outside backers come and we try to bring them into our circle. They try to bring us into their circle. Then we try to build something together. Then we want that to spread to the defensive backs, then the offense, and the special teams. And sooner or later, it's going to be unstoppable.
I love that. You can't sit with us if you're not doing it right.
So you can't sit at this table. Seats taken. So when you look at your outside linebackers, right? You got a D-line. You got a D-line that's in play with Ioannidis, Payne, yourself, and everyone is raving about it. All of a sudden, Kerrigan, he's getting up in age. You just lost Preston Smith. Ryan Anderson getting his opportunity. You got an opportunity to get your linebacker in Reuben Foster. When you look around, like what assets do this defense need to take it over the top?
To take it over the top, consistency and mental toughness. And consistency is given. You're not going to be successful without consistency. But look at the Giants game the second time we played them. We were the first 3 drives, 3 and outs. We throw a pick 6, and I think they scored like 5 straight touchdowns after that. What was the difference between that and the first 3 drives? Mental toughness. Focusing on the offense, like, oh man, what are we going to do? Mental toughness.
So we all were on the clock with the draft pick, and for you, because you're in the trenches and you got an opportunity and we don't have much time, you got to give us three draft picks, first, second, third round, no matter what order you do it.
Jeez.
Or 3 players you would
I don't even know if I know the third round guys.
No, I'm just saying like three positions you would like to see depth at. I won't say 3 guys you would like to see added. Three positions you feel like if we get another body or another playmaker, this could change this team.
Well, I'll go back to what Coach Saban always says, what it takes to have a successful team. Quarterback, offensive line, defensive line.
This year, you would want to see a quarterback.
No, I'm not saying that.
No,
I'm just saying those are the three positions that Coach Saban would always say, if we don't have great play out of a quarterback, offensive line, and defensive line, we're not going to have success as a team. Okay. So as long as one of those three positions, I'm okay with that.
Ooh, you a real media savvy guy. You didn't give us no. The names are consistency.
That's a dangerous question.
You just dodge everything. It's 26 minutes. This is a show to keep it real. We need more.
So look, let me before we gotta let you go, I want to go back to what you started to bring up about student athletes and being paid. This conversation is not for Joe Schmo playing soccer, not generating revenue. It is for your colleagues, your alums, your guys at Alabama, Clemson, Georgia, wherever you want to go, big time sports. How would you like to see that system addressed?
I want to say directly pay, because if we're trying to be fair, and I got
fair,
you. No. All right, cool. I'm perfectly fine with that. Don't say it.
Fair. Alabama football team brings in all the money for the
So
university.
listen, but that's what I'm saying. So do we get
agree.
into looking at the pie as a whole? Like, tell me how you would address it.
Let players use their likeness.
I agree with that 100%.
You don't have to pay a player nothing. Let them use their likeness. And now you open up a door for boosters and all that. But if I want to have a signing, I should be able to. It's not fair that the university. I'm walking around Alabama 2 weeks ago and I see nothing but Tua jerseys with his name on it, his jersey. Nothing but Tua jerseys.
Would that then also come with an additional position in athletics where guys at least can get counsel for who they sign up to work with, where they're getting money from, how they're allowing their likenesses to be used? Because at 18, y'all Bama's would have been running around with the latest J's and the latest gear.
100%.
You know what I'm saying? So
100%.
Can we also add in financial counseling, training, development?
That should already be a thing, regardless of whether they pay us or not. I mean, that's one thing. Everybody should know what a power of attorney is, regardless of whether you're getting paid or not. And I mean, and allowing players to use their likeness, there's definitely going to be some rules that you're going to have to implement, and there's things that you're going to have to do to make sure everything's on the up and up. But
the other issue with that is, though, there's only a certain amount of guys who are already considered stars at certain positions. You mentioned
So that's what I'm
quarterback,
saying,
wide
but that's
receiver.
it.
You
Right.
always have a pipeline. It's always somebody up and coming, which brings me to the next question. What point did you start taking money at Alabama?
I'll say this: if they're paying players, man, Coach Saban owe me a lot of money. I ain't seen none of it.
Listen, come on, man.
I ain't seen none of it.
You're in the SEC. You don't get.
Stevie, he's not going to answer this.
Yeah, he's gonna answer this.
I don't
had
speak-
the
I don't- I
number
don't
one
speak for
recruit
Ole Miss.
class
I don't speak
in
for Ole
the
Miss.
SEC. I mean, in the nation.
I don't speak for Ole Miss.
Ole Miss had the number one recruit class in the nation.
What you're saying
3
is-
years in a row.
I don't get it either.
And no one paid attention to what could possibly be going on in Oxford, Mississippi. Are you kidding me? And the SEC is known for paying.
Alabama, we don't have to recruit. The name recruits itself.
Ooh, this swag in here. Listen.
If you're
Alabama is not known for swag.
If you're a defensive lineman, where are you gonna go? Think over the last 5 years.
So, okay.
Name the players that Alabama put in.
Ready? I'm a basketball chick. Ready?
All right.
In the women's game, we seem to see a little bit of a shift changing in terms of people getting sick of UConn. Do you think that happens to Alabama?
Oh,
Guys really
100%.
want to go and knock y'all off. Want to be Clemson.
100%.
That was your guy after the tournament.
100%.
But
They
no
want to beat
one-
us.
People want to beat you, but kids are not the same today. Like, kids don't have that. You know what? I'm going to Alabama's biggest rivalry. I'm going to go to Georgia so we can knock Alabama off. Kids don't
So
have
different.
that.
I agree.
Kids
Which
would
one?
rather
They
go-
don't?
No, kids now would go. Everyone would team up. You just saw Duke.
Not as many.
Duke just got 5 players.
Yes, they did.
5 in the top 50.
Your boy Cole Anthony going at UNC though.
Yeah,
Shout out to
but
him.
why not go with Cole Anthony? That's what I'm saying. Duke got 5
But you gotta
players.
look at the NBA, all the super teams. That's what they want in college now.
Yeah.
Is
But
it the
that's-
same for football though?
Yes, that's what it's becoming. So you have a Alabama and you have no one close, and then David beats Goliath because Clemson knocked Alabama off, and it's all of a sudden like, oh, this is where I want to go. It's only 2 teams. It's not spread it throughout. If I think of my day, the year before we became dominant, Florida State and VTech was in the national championship. Oklahoma was in the national championship. So it wasn't a run of these teams. We went to the national championship. Ohio State went to the national championship back to back. So you had players everywhere. Whereas now you already know it's
Am
going
I
to be
hearing
Alabama.
you say that dominance is not good for the game?
No. Competition is missing in the game. That's what you're hearing me
Does that
saying.
also sound like
Because
dominance is boring?
It's five top. The difference in Miami and Alabama was they had
There's
top
only 4
recruits.
teams that can really win the national championship next
They
year.
had top recruits. You got 6 running backs that were the top 6 running backs in a class at Alabama.
It is because they ain't.
Miami didn't. You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
Miami did.
Let's not
we
act
didn't.
like Miami ain't have all. Come on now.
All right,
But
we gotta
Ed
be good, we
Reed
gotta be
was
good
not
hosts.
a 5-star recruit, right? Clinton Portis was not a 5-star recruit.
Before the last
Willis
2 years,
McGahee-
my class was really the first class that Coach Saban boasted a bunch of 5-stars. If you go look at the 3 national championships he won before I got there, his team wasn't filled with 5-stars.
Well, I mean, that's different. Now it's all 5-stars. That's
Yeah.
all I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
it's all who's who. Whereas instead of spreading, if you look at the state of Florida, the talent is spread throughout. UCF is on top in the state of Florida. Not Florida State, not Florida, not Miami. UCF is the best team in Florida. And I can say that
crazy.
because I've seen the work UCF has done over the past 3 years. And then they lost their coach.
And we've seen the work that Miami's not done.
Exactly. But
Yeah.
that curve is going to change. Florida is coming back. Miami is all
So, but
of a sudden.
we're
picking
talking
up
about
momentum.
all these other places other than Alabama. You think Alabama is just Alabama?
As far as talent,
Yeah, like kids will always come.
as long as Coach Saban's there, yes. But like I said, there's only 4 teams that can really win a national championship. Maybe
We
5.
got to get you back on closer
Maybe.
to. Well, if you're not too busy winning games, woohoo!
What you know about
with college
basketball?
football.
What I know about basketball, NBA or college.
This man gonna
NBA.
go in
I know a little
9
bit.
minutes, but
I
okay,
know.
All right,
come on,
so
go.
since you know a little bit about NBA, she swears. First off, your
What you about to say? I swear.
MVP.
Oh,
Your
yeah, let's do it.
in
Giannis.
basketball.
Thank you.
Antetokounmpo.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
you.
I can't vote James Harden as MVP if I'm looking at his games. First of all, half the calls he get, he's not getting those in the
Did
playoffs.
you see him with that fake neck thing the other day?
He's not getting them in the playoffs. Out of 40 points, you get 24 at the free throw line. Come on, dude.
All right, now
on, dude.
who wins the finals?
Warriors. That's easy. Not even a
Warriors.
You
question.
think the
who?
Warriors
Warriors
can
and
beat
who?
Milwaukee?
So I
Forgetting
will
about
say.
the 76.
Warriors will
quiet,
dominate.
The 76ers
Milwaukee.
forgot
Go
about
ahead,
their
The Warriors will
No.
dominate
Hold
every
on,
team
hold
in
on,
the
John.
league.
Hold on.
We shall see.
Dominate? Like, what do you mean? Like,
Who's
like
stopping
6
Kevin
games?
Durant? Who's stopping Kevin Durant?
Hold on. Just give me my
Listen.
game. How many games?
Realistically, I say Milwaukee you get 2.
So,
And that's a generous 2. Really. If the Warriors wanted to, they could sweep almost every team. If they wanted
But
to.
do we know that the Warriors
I think the
want
Warriors
to?
are past. The
Hello?
Warriors
Come on,
missing
CP.
DeMarcus Cousins right now. Draymond already admitted that he's just not getting the shape. KD, after seeing what Patrick Beverly did to KD, I'm just not sold on. If you're a pest, you could take KD out of his game. And then it comes down to Steph and Clay. Clay is one of my favorite players. I think
too.
Clay one of the coldest persons, most underrated players
agree.
in the NBA. But they don't have a bench anymore. They don't
Listen,
have a bench.
I don't see it. If it becomes Milwaukee Golden State, I got that as a 7-game series.
No way.
I like Milwaukee.
Antetokounmpo-
And I think Milwaukee got a shot.
He can only do so much. He
like-
can only do
you
Yeah,
so
but
much.
that's the
Middleton,
thing.
you
Like
got- you got help.
he is dominant, but he has.
You
That's
got
what I say.
Mirotic,
He's
right?
got
You
help.
have
We're
Lopez.
talking about a team that can drop 50 points in a quarter and not even
We're
think
also
twice
talking
about
about a
it.
team that gave up a 31 second half lead.
Yeah, but we're
31
talking
point second
about
half
the
lead.
Bucks
Come
that
on.
led-
Okay,
All I'm
listen.
saying, Jonathan, is that they're human.
The problem
Like, we
with
see
success
human element.
is you get complacent.
And that's
the Warriors
that's
are
the Warriors.
right now. They're
So,
complacent.
let's take it
right
back to
now.
Alabama.
They're complacent right
We're
now.
gonna take it back to Coach Saban. You guys did not have an on and off switch. You were
No.
always on. The Warriors, the
And then Clemson.
I'm about to say, why do you think Alabama lost this year?
Because Clemson came out with
Why do
that.
I think Clemson was really good.
Why do you think Alabama lost as badly as they did?
There was a missing focus. Maybe.
Complacent.
Okay.
It's easy.
So, but that's what I'm saying.
It's easy.
So
It's complacent.
That's to my point. Like,
But
we see
it's
the Warriors
different in football.
complacent.
It's
You
different
know-
in football because there's only one game.
This is
in
this is
basketball.
what
There's 7. It's hard to be complacent.
This is what I
4
think
times.
happened to Alabama.
All right.
When you have a kid, you see a kid get screwed in college football, it always messes us up.
Yep.
I think Tua, a hell of a player, but how they treated their quarterback after what he did for that team,
Jalen?
and leading that team, for how they treated Hurts. Guys pay attention to that. Like, it's hard to get guys to believe and go out when you see someone get screwed. Like, when everything is fine, it's fine. Now, Tua is a hell of a player. His time was going to come. For what Jalen Hurts had done for Alabama, all of a sudden, when you mess over a guy and you put him in a situation, it's just players don't get to respond, and it always comes back to hunt you.
Agree, disagree, Jonathan? Or you?
I disagree.
Okay.
At Alabama, the way we say, the best player is going to play.
Okay.
Point blank. And I know it sounds cold. Deron Payne, when he came in, he took a fifth-year senior spot. The way everyone feels bad for Jalen, trust me, I felt bad too. But when you look at it, there's 10 players who go through what he goes through every year. Mm-hmm. He's not the only one. And we lost this year because of defense. This might have been the first year we gave up 31 to Arkansas. When you're putting up 50 points a game, your defense doesn't have to show up. I'm sorry, you don't. So the whole year we didn't need the defense one time. Name one game we're like, man, we really need to stop right now.
Alabama fell off.
Defensively, this year was terrible. Probably one of the worst defense Coach Saban's ever had. At least how they played.
Thanks for joining 26 minutes. We got to get you back on the show. Take it away, Monica.
Oh, this is my turn? The Times the Money family of scratchers from the Virginia Lottery has $345 million in cash prizes in the entire family. One game that features a top prize of $7 million and the chance to multiply your winnings anywhere from 2 times to 100 times. From 2 times the money and its top prize of $4,000 to 100 times the money and its top prize of $7 million. These games feature multipliers and the chance to win big. If you find a 100 times symbol and a 100 times the money, you multiply your prize by, you guessed it, 100. Think about money multiplied. That's what the Times the Money family means. Visit your lottery retailer today.
Have you heard about Creighton Farms, the private club community that's home to the Redskins? Creighton Farms is just 20 minutes from Dulles, but a world away. On top of its award-winning Jack Nicklaus signature golf course, pools, tennis courts, and other resort-style amenities, you'll find custom homes and villas that are simply extraordinary, starting at $1.5 million. For property and legal information, visit CreightonFarms.com, or, better yet, visit Creighton Farms. Are uninvited pests ruining your plans? Let PMSI, the pest control partner of the Washington Redskins, handle it for you. Call today for your free inspection, and they'll work around your schedule to provide you the best solution possible to defend your home territory against pests of all kinds, including mold. Visit mypmsi.com for the game plan to control the pests on your home turf. That's mypmsi.com.
This is Rick Gosselin with the Talk of Fame Network. This NFL season, FanDuel has more ways to win than ever before. New Beat the Score contests pay out everyone who hits a certain score. Now it's easy to find your friends and challenge them to play head-to-head fantasy contests for cash or bragging rights. New players, try FanDuel today and get a $20 bonus when you make your first deposit. Just sign up at FanDuel.com/Rick.
New users only. Bonus not available for withdrawal. State and age restrictions apply. For eligibility rules, terms, and conditions, go to FanDuel.com.
John Riggins here with a little tip. If you need a mortgage, take my advice and use the pros at McLean Mortgage. Buying a home can be stressful and filled with hassles. The experts at McLean Mortgage understand what an important financial investment your home is and will seamlessly guide you through the process to successful home ownership. Smooth, amazing, easy, professional, and first rate are just some of the reviews from their tens of thousands of homeowners, including me. I trust McLean Mortgage, and I hope you will too. Check them out at McLeanMortgage.com.
Your heart works hard, and sometimes its parts need repair. That's what we do at Innova's Structural Heart Program in Fairfax. With outcomes that exceed the national average, we're a leader in both minimally invasive repair techniques and surgery to address heart valve disease. Give your heart the benefit of care from Innova Heart and Vascular Institute. Find an Innova physician by visiting innovaheart.org/valve. Innova. Join the future of health.
Have you been fumbling on your diet during tailgate season? Well, it's a new day for a new game, and White House Foods has the solution for you. With the vinegar beverage of choice, Detox. Packed with lemon, honey, cinnamon, and apple cider vinegar, this organic, non-GMO verified product is the play you need to get your head back in the game. From our orchard fields to your football field, White House.
I'm trying to meet that boy Clinton Portis, though. They say he's smooth on his feet. I'm trying to teach him something.
Teach him something.
Welcome back to 26 Minutes. So that was a great segment with Jonathan Allen. Hopefully you all enjoyed. Right now, so since we got into the playoff pictures, we got John's prediction, and he liked the Warriors. I don't think it's the Warriors' year anymore. I just don't. I think with KD pending free agency, the distractions are just too much to overcome. I feel like this is one of those years that they get to the finals. I don't even know if they get to the finals because the Rockets are going to be a tough out.
Rockets got to stay healthy.
Portland as well. You can't take anything away from
Portland is playing so well. I'm very disappointed in that series, mostly in the Thunder. I thought that would be more competitive, but Portland is playing really well.
You know I'm crushed.
Do we have thoughts on Russell Westbrook and Paul George at that post-game press conference? Because I feel like that is a bigger storyline out of this last week, at least in terms of how the media and players with him, especially in Oklahoma City. But it just, I don't know. It seems like a lot more people today are siding with journalists on this in terms of.
So
it's a professionalism thing, CP.
I think it's professionalism. This is the thing. Russ is my favorite player, and everyone knows this. But for the way Russ carries himself after losses compared to wins, I don't like, and you get in this situation, you were dancing, you were doing everything a game ago after your win. It was all cool. But then all of a sudden you lose, you don't want to answer, there's no answer, next question. I don't really.
So part of that story, though, is apparently it's a personal thing with this particular reporter. And the reporter has voiced that he doesn't know exactly where it stems from, which I think
obviously
is
it stems from something you've said. But if Russ is asking what happened, or if this reporter is asking Russ what happened, do you think that he should at least be like, XYZ is why we have an issue? I think that reporter should have gotten the opportunity to speak with Russ one-on-one with no cameras around. Like, you could go to the media department.
I don't think Russ would have let him.
Yeah, but if you make the request, like, let's figure this out. I don't want to keep bashing you, and I don't want you to keep bashing me. Like, we're both professionals. I got to write about something. You see what I'm saying? So, but it could happen. You could find it was reporters in our locker room that I just didn't care for because they always had all these stories from an unknown source, and so in other words, they made up a lot of crap.
So are you reading that stuff then? Like, were you actively reading it, or you kind of heard about it? Somebody's like, so-and-so wrote
of course you can hear about it, or somehow the first thing you see when you walk into a facility is the newspaper. Every TV is on ESPN or a sports station, so you just hear it. You're going to hear it somehow, some way. Someone in the locker room has read it and will bring it to you.
That's the thing. I just, a lot of athletes I do feel like don't take the time to parse through something when it's going to be as big of an issue as this. If it's going to amount to what happened like that, where you're just saying no comment, you're not giving any explanation. If you can't come up with a valid explanation after reading something,
after reading something, you have excerpts taken away. The headlines and all that grab your attention are normally BS because it's not what was said, it's how they wrote it.
Right.
And for Russ, often he's going to be misquoted. If he comes out and say, oh, PG had an outstanding game or they couldn't guard PG, then the headlines don't say, well, Russ feels like PG is unstoppable. Mm-hmm. It's something, PG is the best player in the NBA, no one's going to guard him, which garners headlines that Russ wasn't really looking for. So I kind of understand. And that's like one of those touchy subjects because some reporters, like, you shouldn't be able to say unknown sources. Like, I just
period.
Should. Period.
And sports reporting or reporting general? Because sometimes things are sensitive.
Report in general. Like, everyone should be accountable for what they say.
Even if your life is involved?
Yeah.
Like political reporting and stuff?
If you know your life is involved.
We would never have Watergate if your rule applied.
Hey, listen, before we let this show go, so there are some matchups going on in the NBA, and I want to get from you all just what you think is the most competitive. So you have Patrick Beverly and KD matchup. You got Jared Dudley, Ben Simmons. You have Harden and Crowder, and then you have Westbrook and Lillard. How are we
grading this? 1 through 5, 1 through 10, or rank them in order?
No, I'm just saying your favorite. Like, which one do you enjoy watching the most?
Well, that's a different question. I think that would be probably for me be Simmons and Dudley, just because they're so contentious, and because the series has been pretty close. I mean, the Sixers are 3-1 now, but there's been a lot of close games, and it's just kind of the biggest theatrics of them all, I would say.
The most powerful duo, they're not teams, would be Russ and Lillard. Did you say Lillard or McCollum? Lillard right now, but I am not really enjoying that one because I don't know that Russ has showed up. I would have to go with James Harden and Crowder because at least I think in that one we could see some defensive intelligence.
I like Dame and Lillard. I mean, I like Dame and Russ. And the reason I like Dame and Russ is because the competitiveness is flowing. Now, last game, Russ didn't show up. Game 2, Russ didn't show up. But for how Dame is approaching this, is spectacular. Like, Dame
for sure
comes out, no points, like, okay, it's not my time, it's not my part. Okay, third quarter, let me drop 25.
Yeah.
Here you go. Take this 25 piece.
So
out of nowhere.
But those are the only two star-to-star comparison. Everybody else is
well,
a star.
Patrick Beverly and KD.
They are not on the same wavelength as stars. Now, Patrick Beverly has us all watching, and we love his competitiveness.
But Patrick Beverly has been getting under stars' skins for a long time.
But listen to your matchups is what I'm saying.
I know, but why is Patrick Beverly even guarding KD? That's
he asked
a
for it.
mismatch.
You ain't hear? He asked for it.
And he's performing with it. Like, he's performing. He's actually pestering KD if you watch the game. Like, so I think it's exciting. It's just Golden State is too much for the Clippers.
What I do like about your example, Jake, between Dudley and Simmons is I'm enjoying hearing Jared Dudley talk basketball as a teammate and X's and O's. His latest thing on defending Ben Simmons, he's talking about him in the half court versus the full court. And then even why he jumped up and shoved Joel Embiid in terms of being a veteran in that locker room that got his teams back. Like, I'm enjoying
that.
This
To me was
with Dudley.
that to me was a problematic thing by the NBA because if you're going to then eject Jimmy Butler, then you're saying that, hey, even though you're not the best player on the court, if you want to shove off somebody and try to get some emotion stirred up, we can throw out the other team's star player, and now you're on a better playing field. Like, that to me was problematic for the future because.
Well, you saw Joel put his hands up, so he knew he couldn't get involved.
Well, not Joel, but Jimmy Butler. He's gone. He's one of the most clutch players.
But Jimmy Butler also is one that's like, if I'm your teammate, I'm your teammate, and I'm gonna make sure you know. So,
well, I'm gonna throw my hands up. Speaking of gone, we're leaving. All right, catch Monica. On what's your podcast called?
Buckets, Boards, and Blocks, a presentation of Pure Hoops Media where we really get into the hoops love.
Maybe one day she'll have me and Jake.
You're coming on. We already established
Until then, episode 35 coming soon. Thanks for listening to 26 Minutes.